Kiddushin daf lametes. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the 8-minute daf. According to everybody in Chutz La'aretz, when you have a suffix arla, you're not sure 100% that this is a piece of arla, a fruit that grew in the first 3 years of the tree. According to everybody, it's a mutter to eat. Rabbi Yochanan, however, said that those who are not makbid in arla and Chutz La'aretz, we have to do something about it. And he said it's also to make a suffix biyodayim. In other words, you can't go deliberately pretend that it's a suffix and give it to somebody else to eat. The Gemara tells us to graft a tree, to take a branch and put it into another tree physically. For that you get malchus, even in Chutz La'aretz. This is an isser that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave before Matan Torah to Bnei Noach. And the reason is, we say it's just like harva, just like you can't put two animals together to create a third species, so too you can't take two trees and put them together. It's the same isser from before Matan Torah. The Torah says the word v'sadcha, your field. That's a field that was received from Shemayim. That's in Eretz Yisrael. That comes to exclude klei hakerem. That's when you take seeds and you plant it in a vineyard. That's also in Chutz La'aretz. What's also with the Rabbanan is only when you take 3 types of seeds. You take wheat, barley, and a grapeseed together, put them in the ground. That's also with the Rabbanan. Why? In Chutz La'aretz, because that itself is asur bahana in Eretz Yisrael. So we take it down a step. That Rav, the famous Gadol Ador Rav, he had a yeshiva, and for his Bachar yeshiva, for his Talmidim, he planted a garden of vegetables, and he planted them in individual rows. Why did he do so? He lived in Bavel. Well, don't say it's because he was makbid on putting different seeds together in Chutz La'aretz, but rather the reason is because he wanted to have a beautiful garden for his yeshiva, or for the shamish, that his job was to pick the vegetables. It would be easy for him to find them. With this, Rabbi Isai, we finish half a shas. And right now we're on to the second half of shas. It's a beautiful Mishnah with Agadata. The Mishnah tells us, and we just read the simple words, it's difficult to understand, but that's why we have the Gemara. The Mishnah tells us if a person does one mitzvah, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to do good for him, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to do good for him, and give him arichas yomim, and he's going to have olam haba. But the point is, the Gemara tells us, we're talking about an individual that he has 50-50, 50% mitzvahs, 50% averos. And with one extra mitzvah, now let's say it's 51% or whatever the percentage is, that tips the scale for the good. What about the famous mitzvahs that we say every day? These are very 5 special mitzvahs. To the point that if a person is exactly 50-50, and on the side of the mitzvahs, one of those mitzvahs happens to be one of these 5 mitzvahs, let's say kibbud avim. So even though it's only 50-50, not 51%, but 50-50, that mitzvah has the power to tip the scale in his favor. According to Tosfos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers him a tzaddik gomer, whereas in other mitzvahs, he's considered a beinoni, an average Jew. But there's a brisa, and the brisa says that whoever has more schus, more mitzvahs than averos, he gets yisurim, terrible punishments in this world. What does it mean? So according to Abai, the pshat is, he receives a yom tov. You could call it any way you want. It could be a yom ra or yom tov. But the point is that it's a good day because we do bad for him, because through the bad, he receives his proper award in Olam Ha'emes. By getting rid of the bad in this world, you free yourself up for the good in the world to come. And vice versa. If Russia gets good in this world, that's a yom ra according to Abaya, because he's actually, even though he's getting good, it's bad for him. Because now, in Olam Ha'emes, he won't have what he wants. According to Rava, the brisa goes like Rabbi Yaakov. Rabbi Yaakov is of the opinion that in this world, you don't get awarded for mitzvahs. There's no schar l'mitzvahs b'olam hazeh. Why? Because he himself saw a story that forced him into this. He saw a father tell his son, go climb up the ladder to the tower and retrieve the chicks from that bird. Shiluach hakan. Do 2 mitzvahs that the Torah says they get arichas yomim. And on the way down, the son fell off the ladder and died. So he says it's impossible. It's not a stira to the pasuk. The pshat is you get arichas yomim in olam ha'emes. And the fact is that even with all this, if a person thinks to himself, he says, look, it can't be. If he's doing such a mitzvah, he won't even be able to be baharer in avodah zarah. So how did he die? Must be olam ha'emes. Now, there's another issue. When a person does a mitzvah, he's a shliach to do a mitzvah, he shouldn't have any damage, it says, even on the way back. Over here, it's a little different because we're talking about a ladder that's a broken ladder he used, and he shouldn't have been using that ladder. The Gemara tells us, Acher was a Rasha. He's Reb Meir's Rebbe. He was a big gadol, but he went off. Why did he go off? So we learned different reasons in Chagiga, I think it was. But the Gemara here tells us, because he saw this story, and he had the question, how is it possible that a son that's doing Kibbud Avayim and Shidduch HaKan doesn't have Arichas Yomim? And immediately he went off. The Gemara says it's also possible that he saw the tongue of Chutzpis HaMeturgeman. Chutzpis was the Meturgeman of Gamliel. He repeated all the Torah, and he said, how is it possible that somebody that repeats Torah from Gamliel, the Romans are going to kill him, and his tongue is on the ground, and pigs are dragging his tongue around, and he went off the derech. When a person doesn't do an Aveira, he has an opportunity to do an Aveira, and he watches himself, but he doesn't do the Aveira. It's as if he performed a mitzvah, and not only that, he gets a special shmira of protection. Rabbi Isai, have a wonderful day.